Hi friends, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson right here, 3 cosmic messages. We have been studying this week from lesson number 8, which has the title, The Sabbath and the End, and today is Final Thought Friday, where we come together just to close this week's lesson and get a kickstart for next week's lesson. Today I'd like to read the 2 quotes, the 2 paragraphs that are mentioned here in Friday's lesson by the author Angel Manuel Rodriguez. The title is The Closing of the Cosmic Conflict, Role of the Three Angels' Messages. And this is an unpublished manuscript, page 40 and 41. This is what it says. It's beautiful. It says, "The reason provided to worship God is that He is the Creator. In the heavenly liturgy, celestial beings express the idea in a very succinct way. For you created all things, in Revelation 4:11. On earth, God's creatorship needs to be emphasized as much as possible. So the angel says, worship Him who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and the springs of water. Revelation 14, verse 7. It has been correctly indicated that the angel is using the language of the 4th commandment to justify the call to worship God, from Exodus chapter 20, verse 11. Within the Decalogue, the Sabbath commandment stands as its seal in that it identifies who God is, the Creator. It confirms the territory over which He rules, which is everything He created, and reveals His right to rule, for He created everything. In order for the dragon to succeed, he had to somehow set aside this memorial." Friends, the understanding of the Sabbath is as fundamental as anything else in the Bible. God extends His ownership to His people by the Sabbath. That's why the Sabbath is considered a seal or a mark. It's interesting that when you arrive in the book of Revelation, you find the seal of God on one hand, and then on the other hand, you have the mark of the beast. What makes this even more interesting is when you look at these words in the original Greek language, in the language in which the Bible is written, the word for seal, the seal of God, is the word stigmata. It's a very noble word. It was a word that was used for sealing letters, for inscribing possession, but possession of care, of protectorship, defense, right? And when we consider the other word, the word that is used there for the mark of the beast, it's a different word. It's the word charagma. And so that word, it's used in a very base, in a very violent, aggressive way. It's the word that was used for branding cattle. So on one hand, you have the sealing of God's children, and that sealing is described by the use of the word stigmata, which is, again, defense, protection, ownership. And on the other hand, you have an aggressive word, a violent word even, used for the mark of the beast, which is the word for branding, the branding of cattle. So even more that way, we understand that God's seal on His people is a seal of protection, of ownership, of love. On the other hand, the mark of the beast it's a violent and aggressive taking of possession. So I find that even more interesting when considered in the context of the Sabbath as God's seal, where God protects us. The Sabbath, friends, if understood correctly, it's not us. It's not we who keep the Sabbath. Truly, it's the Sabbath who keeps us. The Sabbath that keeps us. It keeps us from this wild rat race of a world that we live in, this wild, busy, anxious, crazy world that we live in. The Sabbath reminds us that this is not our home. The Sabbath is this palace in time where we come together, we inhabit the Sabbath with God, who Himself inserted Himself into the Sabbath so that we could relate to Him better, so that we could connect to Him in a better way. So I hope that this lesson this week has truly provided that to you and encourage you to study your lesson a little bit more, study the Bible a little bit more, look up the verses, thinking about the questions. I know that maybe it's a little bit of work for you. I hope not. It's super quick to study it, but please remember to be thoughtful as you study this lesson, these lessons. Be thoughtful as you write down answers and maybe contemplate a little bit deeper on what the lesson is teaching. I'm sure that will be a great benefit to you. Also, please remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to our videos. We release one every day, and I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another study of Sabbath School Daily.